everyone, I'm Peak. In today's Chapter 7, we're about to unveil the true face of this world. Get ready for some shocking revelations. Otome Game Rebellion: The World is Too Real. Chapter 8. Fragments of Memory.
At that moment, Alan Green suddenly stepped out from the shadows. "I think it's time for you to understand the whole truth," he said, his voice tinged with a hint of bitterness. The holographic projection of the World Administrator gazed at them. "You've come here," he began slowly, his voice carrying a trace of mechanical calmness, "to know the truth about this world, right?" Jason clenched his fists, forcing himself to remain calm. He asked, "What's really going on with this world?" The World Administrator's projection smiled slightly. "This world is a carefully designed system, a world created by higher dimensional beings to collect emotional energy. In your language, the closest description would be a farm." "Emotional energy?" Justia asked, puzzled. Alan took over the conversation. "That's right. Beings of higher dimensions than yours choose scripts that can evoke intense emotional fluctuations to create different farms. Love, jealousy, friendship, betrayal. These complex emotions are, to them, a precious source of energy." Dante's face turned pale. Although he had previously learned from Jason that he was a character that could be pursued in the game, hearing firsthand that the entire world was designed to collect emotional energy still made him feel dizzy. "So," Dante began with difficulty, "all our emotions are just energy?" The World Administrator's gaze turned to Dante. "Your feelings and experiences are real. Every farm is the same, all storylines have a direction, except for this one." Justia suddenly felt dizzy, flashes of blurry images passing through her mind. I think I remember something," she murmured, "a different world. A girl named Mary." Jason immediately supported the swaying Justia, asking with concern, "Are you all right? What did you remember?" Justia closed her eyes, struggling to recall. "I remember. I originally lived in a world completely different from here. There was no magic, no knights and princesses. I was an ordinary student named Mary." The World Administrator nodded. "Justia, your soul falling into this world was actually a complete accident." Jason thought, "So I was summoned here to correct the deviation caused by Justia?" The World Administrator's expression became somewhat awkward. "Yes, but it turned out to be a mistake. Our judgment was off again." Alan added, "My God thought that someone who had played the game might help correct the deviated script. At the same time, as a puppeteer, you were believed to have the potential to manipulate hearts. The combination of these two factors led to the decision to summon you." Jason raised an eyebrow. "So you gave me the ability to control puppets, but didn't expect that I had no intention of correcting the world?" "That's right," the World Administrator admitted. "This was a major oversight on our part. We underestimated your autonomy and creativity." Although Dante was still digesting the shocking information about the nature of the world, he was also drawn to this conversation. "Wait," he interjected, "are you saying that Jason and Justia's actions are changing the way this world operates?" The World Administrator's projection flickered for a moment, then replied, "Yes, and far more profoundly than you might imagine. Your existence and actions are gradually dismantling the original operating mechanism of this world." "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" Justia asked, her tone tinged with a hint of worry. The World Administrator was silent for a moment, seemingly carefully considering how to answer this question. When he spoke again, his voice carried a barely perceptible wave of emotion. "This question is not easy to answer," he said slowly. "From the system's perspective, your actions are disrupting the original order, which should be a bad thing. But as he paused, through observing you, especially Justia and Jason, I'm beginning to realize that perhaps change isn't always a bad thing." Jason keenly caught the change in the World Administrator's tone. "You say realize," he carefully asked. "Does this mean you're changing too?" The World Administrator's projection seemed to become clearer. as if Jason's question had touched some deep program within him. You're right, Jason. I find myself undergoing a kind of evolution. I'm starting to understand and experience emotions, to think independently. This change is both exciting and frightening. Alan interjected, my God realized this might be our only chance, so I found Jason and trained him. A glimmer of hope flashed in Just's eyes. Then, can you help us? Help us understand this world, even change it? The world administrator was silent for a moment, then said, I already want to break free from the control of higher dimensions. I'm tired, so I can try. But this requires your help. Especially you, Jason. Me? Jason asked in surprise. Yes, the world administrator replied, your ability is much more useful than you imagine. The puppet control ability I gave you actually comes partly from my authority, and because I granted the authority, the system is quite unstable. The rituals you see, or the assassination of the prince, are also the result of the script breaking down. In your eyes, it's also a drama without logic, right? In fact, the authority can extend to the entire world system. You might become the new world administrator. Jason gasped, you mean, I will become the true manipulator? That's right, the world administrator confirmed, but this requires a huge price. I must completely transfer my power to you. This process is irreversible, and more importantly, once you accept this role, you will never be able to return to your original world. Hearing this condition, Jason's face instantly turned pale. His heart was filled with contradiction and struggle. On one hand, he longed to save this world, to help all the people he knew and didn't know. On the other hand, never being able to return to his original world meant he would lose all of his past, including his family, friends, and life. Justia noticed Jason's struggle and frowned. Wait, she said, this decision is too big. Can we really trust the world administrator? Could this be another trap? Alan stepped forward. I understand your concerns, he said, but I can testify that my God is telling the truth. Dante nodded as well. Although I'm still trying to accept my own identity, I know this might be our only chance. I support you, whatever decision you make, Jason. Jason took a deep breath, trying to calm his excited emotions. I need some time to think, he finally said. Just then, the entire underground cave suddenly began to shake violently. The world administrator's projection became blurry. There's not much time left, his voice was intermittent. The system is collapsing. Jason, you must make your decision now. Are you ready? Jason closed his eyes, flashing through all his memories in the original world, his family, friends, the work he loved. Then, he thought of all the people he had met in this world, Justia, Dante, Alan, and all those innocent people. Finally, he opened his eyes, his gaze full of determination. I'm ready, he said, his voice trembling but full of resolve, for this world, for everyone, I'm willing to pay this price. With a blinding light, the world administrator's projection began to merge into Jason's body. The entire cave shook more violently, as if the whole world was reorganizing. When the light faded, Jason opened his eyes, his gaze very determined. Did it work? Justia asked cautiously. Jason took a deep breath, then showed a faint smile. Yes, I think so. I can feel the pulse of the world. He paused, his eyes suddenly becoming profound. Not only that, I seem to sense higher dimensional existences. Higher dimensional existences? Dante asked in surprise. Jason nodded slowly. Yes, those higher dimensional beings who created this world. They've noticed our actions. His expression became complex, but strangely, they don't seem to be taking any action. It's as if they're observing us? Justia continued. Exactly, Jason said, just like how we observe animals in a zoo. Our behavior has piqued their interest, but they don't intend to intervene. Alan nodded thoughtfully. This might be a good opportunity. If they don't plan to intervene for now, we have time to reshape this world. He turned to Jason, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Jason, you now possess the power of the world administrator. I believe you have the chance to become the new god of this world. Jason looked at Alan in surprise. New god? Are you serious? Alan nodded firmly. Of course. You have the power of my god, and you have a deep understanding and sympathy for this world. You can create a fairer, freer world. Dante asked, so, what should we do next? Jason's gaze became determined. We need to rewrite the rules of this world, create a truly free world. He looked at his friends, but I need your help. Are you willing to change this world with me? Justia and Dante smiled at each other, then nodded firmly. Alan stepped forward. Jason, you now control the rules of the entire world, but this also means enormous responsibility. If you need my guidance, I'm always here. Jason looked gratefully at Alan. Thank you, Alan. I really need your guidance. Can you tell me the first step to reshape this world? Alan nodded. First, we need to be careful. Although the Celestials aren't intervening for now, we don't know where their bottom line is. We need to take it slow, change the rules of this world step by step, while closely monitoring the Celestials' reactions. Where should we start? Justia asked. Alan thought for a moment, then said, I suggest we start with those vague, not fully defined areas. These places are easier to change and won't cause too much impact on the entire world. Jason nodded. Sounds like a good idea. Alan continued, we need to carefully plan each step. Jason, you can now see the framework of the entire world. We can analyze together and find the places that can be changed first. Dante chimed in, I can use my alchemy knowledge to help us understand the basic laws of this world. Great, Jason said, each of us has our own expertise. I believe we can definitely create a free world if we work together. Alan smiled and said, remember, Jason, you now possess great power. But true wisdom lies in knowing when to use this power and when to exercise restraint. I'll always be by your side, helping you master this balance. I believe you have the potential to become a great new god. Jason took a deep breath. This responsibility is too great. But if this is the only way to change the world, I'm willing to accept this challenge. Then, Justia said, let's begin. We have a world to change, and higher dimensional beings to deal with. As they left the underground cave, walking towards an unknown future, a new adventure was waiting for them. Under Alan's guidance, Jason would learn how to use his new abilities, and the entire team would work together to reshape the rules of this world. Meanwhile, in higher dimensions, those who created this world were quietly observing, waiting to see what results this bold experiment would bring.
Today's Chapter 7 ends here. Our adventure continues, and more surprises await you. Subscribe, like, and comment, and see you next time.